this feeling, baby, we're invincible.
Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Rebuilding Notts County, the analysis days. As always, if you are enjoying the save, drop a like on the video. It really helps me out with these types of videos. So, as usual, same pattern as always. Going to go through, have a look at the squad, see who's doing well, who's not. Try to be a bit more sprightly with it this time around. So, yeah, Thomas Stepanek. Probably, well, he's our standout player at the moment. 16 dribbling now, 18 acceleration, 18 agility. He's just a next level player and he continues to be good. And he's still only 18 years old. And remember, we only paid 10 million for this guy. My big concern is I think I'm going to have to get him on a new contract in the summer that has a bit more length to it. And that could be a problem because his contract only goes through to 2028, which means he only has 2 years left. And at the moment, there's no hint of him wanting to leave to join a big club. But I want to make sure that we get him on a new contract as soon as possible to avoid that, basically, and to get him through to at least 2030 with maybe an extension on there too, and try to get rid of the release clause too, because I feel like he could be next level good. But he's had a good year. 7 goals and 7 assists in the league. I'm reasonably pleased with that. I think he can continue to get better and better as he improves as a player. I think next year I want to see double figures out of him in either goals or assists. But solid player. I like him. A lot more to come from him, no doubt. El Hadji Silla, he's only really played half a season, and most of that is off the bench, but he has got an assist for us. I think there's definitely room for him to improve. Still only 19 years old, and he was an absolute steal at £120,000. He's just a good bolster to that midfield. That's fine. Costel Troffin, of course, has actually only started 3 Premier League games this season, but he has scored 2 goals in the league and 1 in the FA Cup. So I still think there's room for this guy. His contract's up next summer, but I'm going to give him a new contract this summer because I feel like, if nothing else, he deserves that. It does make me think, though, that there is a potential for him to be retrained slightly deeper to play as a shadow striker for us, and maybe we can actually get him to play a bit more like that because he does seem to have a little bit of ability in those areas too. So I like him. I still really like Costel, but I do think he needs to have a better season next year and hopefully avoid injury. Stephen Walker, obviously, has spent a time out on loan and whatnot. Yeah, he has got a new contract, annoyingly, and also it had a wage rise clause, so he's on way more money than he deserves to be on right now, and if a club comes in for him, I will be selling him immediately. Nico Williams, I think his contract, his contract actually expires next summer, so that's not too bad. He got 3 assists in the league this year. I do want to see how he's compared to the others, but we'll look at that more in a bit. Yoon Dong-yong, I was kind of hoping to have a breakout season for him this year. He scored less goals this season than he did in the previous year, but he is still improving, I'd say. Only 21 years old, but again, you can see that maybe there's a slight cap on him, and perhaps the likes of Alan Drina will actually overtake him next year, and maybe we'll put in better performances. I don't know. I feel like his height is the main issue because he's not super fast and he's not particularly tall, and it could be causing problems. Ailton, of course, is the young Polish centre midfielder. Hasn't really played at all for us, so there's little to say about him. Tunji Akinola, again, hasn't actually played any senior matches. So, yeah, and he's on big money too, so if we can move him on in the summer, that would be very, very nice indeed to get that 33 grand off the wage bill. Regan Booty, obviously he's going to be going nowhere. I'm going to try and give him a new contract in the summer, but it depends how much money he wants. That's the problem, because he's considered a star player. I mean, he wants to move to a bigger club, ironically, but I feel like what I could do is give him a new contract and reduce his playing time, and hopefully that will keep him in check with us. So, because I don't want to sell Regan Booty, no chance. Despite his decent value, I feel like he still has a part to play at Notts County. I mean, he's made over 250 league games for us, crazy. Tyrese Campbell, leaving in the summer. He's 17 goals out on loan this year, not too bad though. Ernesto Sassano, I think I've been all right with him. He's only started 3 Premier League games, but he's got 2 goals and an assist in there too. I'd be interested to see how those actually line up, per minute, considering he's probably played enough minutes. But I feel like he might have been bumped down the pecking order now, purely based on the fact that, our man Darren Lever is also an option for us there too. Ron Coates, it's hard to believe the lad is still here, but he is. Only 2 substitute appearances for us in the Premier League this year. He has a goal and an assist in the Carabao Cup, but other than that, there's not really a lot more to say about old Ronnie Coates. If he wants to leave, he's more than welcome to do it, just to get some people off the books. David Connolly, he's on loan this year, but I think he'll probably head out. I mean, he's played, I think, how many years has he been on loan? Good Lord, he's actually spent 4 years out on loan at Solihull Moors. I didn't realise it was as much as that, but apparently it is. Moving along to Alan Drina. I think this guy is the future of our centre-backs because I feel like he can overtake Young, and he's already got 2 caps for Bosnia at the age of 19. He's made 6 starts in the Premier League this year. He's got no goals, fine, but I want to see how he's got enough minutes under his belt, I think, for me to really start considering him now. 6'4", he's also faster than Young in terms of his acceleration. Not quite as good on the old pace side of things, but I feel like he has got that My scouts really like him. His contract expires next summer, so he'll definitely get a new one in this summer. No shadow of a doubt there. Remy Dubois, I've been a fan of him this year. He might have only got 2 assists in the Premier League, but I've seen enough out of him to make me go, yeah, this guy is definitely here to stay. And the fact that he cost us £1.1 million is utterly magical for him to be our perfect number 7, to be honest. He's just Regan Booty with better attributes in a lot of areas, frankly, and I think he can go to the next level next year, potentially. He scored a goal, of course, which was nice for him as well. For Mayo, I actually can't believe he's still here, but he won't be much longer. David Ferguson, his contract expires next summer. Oh, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. He's already signed a new deal, but it won't start until the end of May. So then he'll be on, like, I don't know, £26,000 a week, but it will get him on a new contract, because he... 3 goals, 2 assists this season. I've been pretty pleased with his contributions to the team. Another relatively cheap signing that's turned out to be a reasonably solid one. And he's improving, which is really nice to see as well for a youngster. Scott Fuster, he's had some injury issues this year while out on loan at Wigan, so he's kind of taken a hit to his development, quite a serious one, in fact, so I'm not really sure what to do with old Scotty Fuster. Brandon Fleming, amazingly still here, but he will, of course, be leaving in the summer as well, and that's fine because he gets a little bit of money off the wage bill, not a huge amount. Adrian Gaich, he was the goalkeeper that joined us in January, mainly as a backup, but you never know what he could really do. I do want to look for a new first-choice keeper this summer, though, because I just think Paul, he was good, but I think we need to take another step up. And yeah, Ricky Griffiths, of course, amazing. It's crazy to think the amount of game time he's actually had this year, mostly off the bench, but towards the end of the season he made a few starts for us as well. Only a goal and an assist though. His 3 caps for Wales too is pretty impressive for the lad though. I'm okay with that, but we'll see. Still has a few more years left on his contract. No, there's no renewals or anything like that. Guajardo, 5 goals, 4 assists this year. I think that's actually a step down from last year. Yeah, same number of goals, but 2 less assists, and generally speaking, worse overall. Now, and actually it was in less games as well, so I don't know. He's the kind of player that I think if a big move was available to him, I wouldn't be super opposed to actually selling him. If they wanted if they were prepared to offer us like 20 million, I would probably be considering it because of the £70,000 a week nearly that he's on. That and the fact that I don't think he's good enough due to the lack of dribbling ability that he's got. And I think that's the main issue for that left side is we need a player that can dribble and cross. And so far we've got one that can dribble really well and one that can cross really well. If we could make them like a hybrid player, that would be ideal. But I don't think I'd be opposed to selling Guajardo if that should come up and the opportunity was there. I would potentially be tempted just because of the huge wages he's on. Hansen, I've not been impressed. 2 goals in 22 starts for us this season is not exactly what I would have wanted. Considering the attributes he's got, I would have wanted more out of him, to be honest. The amount of chances he's had, considering 62% shots on target, I feel like he's had enough shots to score more than 2 goals, but we'll see what his conversion rate and stuff are like. Ulrich Hansen, he only started 2 games and then broke his leg. And I felt like he actually might have had something for us, but unfortunately I feel like that broken leg might well have ruined his chances of ever being a useful player for us, because that's just what happens, unfortunately, despite having relatively decent bravery. So we'll have to see about that. Egil Hermansson obviously already leaving in the summer. Did start a few matches for us though. Actually, he didn't do a very good job at all, to be fair. But that's what happens in fairness when you only start him against the big sides. Sam Hughes, 1 start this season. Contract is up at the end of next summer. If the chance to move him on comes along, I wouldn't be opposed to it because of the money, particularly. Although he is a team leader, so we've got to be careful there. Kazhikov, I've been relatively okay with the lad this season. I think he's done okay. I think he can improve, and I still don't think I'm happy with the left back or right back spots, to be honest. I just want someone who's got like 6'1" or 6'2", reasonable pace and acceleration, decent physicals, but also has solid defensive and technical attributes. It's a lot to ask, I realise, but that's what I want, and I feel like I might spend a lot of money finding those players in the summer. Kim, first season at the club, I don't know really know what to make of him. He's done okay. He's on a lot of money as well because he got a South Korea. Well, he's actually got a lot of South Korea call-ups. I think it might have just been. Oh no, his was based on league games played, so that makes sense. Darren Laver, obviously 4 starts in the league, 1 off the bench, 2 yellows and a red card in that period, but on the plus side, I feel like this guy does have mad potential for the future for us. So I can't be too harsh on him over those periods. Because fact is, he's nearly as good as Guajardo in a lot of areas. It's just a question of how do we get the best out of this guy. That's always my concern. How do we do about doing that? Lee, out on loan at Charlton, somehow still has another year left on his contract, amazingly. Stephen Lennon, he'll be gone in the summer. Eamon Luati has, I think we'll find, put up some really decent numbers this season. which we'll have a look at in the proper analysis in a minute, because I think he's actually put up some decent ones. Harry Maguigan, out on loan at Scunthorpe this year, 4 goals and 11 assists for them. They've stayed in the Championship and probably could have done more. Yeah, pleased for him, to be honest. His contract's up in the summer. We'll have to see. Maybe he'll move to Scunthorpe permanently. Bojan Mehmeti has obviously been on loan at Čukuricki over in Serbia. Nothing really to say because he's got a slip disc. Radoslav Mijic, I feel like he's the long-term successor to our man Egil Hermansson anyway, so that's fine. I was after another guy, but he moved to Liverpool. No surprises there. Gonzalo Muir only made 9 appearances off the bench. He got a goal and an assist, though, but he was really just here to be a backup striker, and that's exactly what he's doing, and I'm fine to let him continue doing that, in all honesty. Issa and Peppo, I've been pleasantly surprised with him this season, to be honest. 13 goals in the Premier League, 5 assists in that time as well. It's not amazing, it's not phenomenal. He's played in every single Premier League match to some extent. It's not wonderful numbers, but at the end of the day, it's a consistent goal return of double figures in the Premier League for a team that doesn't score very much. I've been pretty pleased with him, and he's clearly improving too. I don't see any reason why he won't be our starting striker in the Premier League next season either, to be honest, because I think there's definitely something here, and I think next year I want to see more like 17 goals out of him in all competitions, or 20 in all competitions I'd settle for. Yeah, that's kind of what I want to go with. And Niklashevic, basically just, no, not really happening with him anymore. Dara O'Shea will be out in the summer as well. He's played on loan at Luton and Grimsby this year. Martin Payton is another one of those players that he's still here, and he will be for a little while longer yet, but he's just not quite good enough. Paul, they keep readjusting this to, his potential ability has now been reassessed to be that. And it does make me wonder if actually we stick to him. Maybe there could be more for him, because they keep adjusting this. It's a really strange one. His potential ability is now... That's really weird. They just constantly change what they think of him. But if it is genuinely as high as that, then maybe it is worth sticking with him and seeing what he can come up with. But I don't know. That's more of a fallback if I can't find anyone amazing in the summer. Bratislav Pavlovic, again, has been out on loan. Hasn't really played a great deal. And again, he's just not quite there, unfortunately. Gael Perrier, I think his first season with the club's been relatively okay. It's nothing major. But as you can see, there's a little issue here too. But... I don't know. I don't know if the money we spent on him was quite worth it, but we'll see when we look at the actual stats. Dusan Stikanic, obviously scorer of that beautiful goal against Bournemouth, his only one of the season, but he didn't really play a great deal either. He's got some nice attributes, though, so I don't know. It's still a future for him at the club. He's not going anywhere. Juan Pablo Silva, he's really only played in the underage trophy so far. He's 6'5", but he does lack a lot of the actual technical side of things. And we're back to Thomas Stepanek. Right, let's go and look at the league stuff. So we are one of the lowest possession teams. No surprises there. Penalties taken 4. God, Liverpool had 11 penalties. We did score all of our penalties this season, which is a nice stat to have. Headers 1, down towards the bottom, I guess. Headers 1 ratio, though, one of the worst. Again, this is what I mean. This league seems to be so dependent on winning balls in the air. And without having really, really impressively tall fullbacks, we cannot seem to do that. And the fact is, Young isn't even that tall either. We've got 97 yellow cards. We are the foulest team in the league, but only 1 red, and that was Darren Laver. So there is that. Whereas Brighton and Bournemouth and Leicester have 6 apiece. That's some naughty boys right there. Team goals, here we go. So 11th best in terms of goals scored at 46 goals. That's kind of where we are in the league, so no real surprise there. Cross completion, dead last. This is what I mean again. We're just not completing crosses at all, and we need to really sort that. That is a gaping hole in our ability right now, and I think that comes down to 2 things. Firstly, the players actually crossing, but secondly, who they're crossing to. So that's definitely a problem. Goals from corners. We've only scored 3. Even this is what I mean. I think this patch has really ruined our ability to score goals from corners, but the AI teams seem to be continually able to score them, and that is a real problem for me. Direct free kicks, we scored 1, so that's 4 goals from set pieces this year. Indirect free kicks, though, we seem to have stepped in there, so there's 10 in total from set pieces, plus the penalties brings it to 14. But it used to be more from corners, and now it's definitely more from indirect free kicks. So I might have to have a look at our corner instructions to see how the goals are being scored when they are. Pass completion ratio, again, one of the lowest, no surprises there. That doesn't surprise me at all. Chances created, right in the middle at 98. That seems about fair for me. No surprises there whatsoever. Shots on target ratio, 48. We need a little bit less of that, but again, it could be drawn down by the fact that we do some shoot on sight stuff. Shots on target, 13th. Conversion ratio, higher than you'd expect, actually, surprisingly. Fouls against, relatively mid-table. Dribbles per game, though, highest in the entire league. We love a bloody dribble, and I've really focused on that because that's sort of been an area that we can use. I think we need to improve our aerial threat. Too many short players, not enough opportunities like that. and we're not completing enough crosses. But I think that's just, I don't know, I think we just haven't got the... I just have no idea. Defensively, not the best, but 13th. So we were 11th best on goals scored and 13th best on goals conceded. So 12th average, basically, is dead on where we finished. So it's not the best. It could definitely be improved, that's for sure. Conceded from corners, 6. That's what I mean. We're worse from corners than we used to be, I feel like. Direct free kicks, none. That's a good sign. Indirect free kicks, 3. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Clean sheets, weirdly, we've actually kept 11 clean sheets despite that. We just seem to concede big bulks of goals sometimes. Fouls made, obviously the most there. Tackles won, though, is the highest in the entire division, and our tackles won ratio is pretty damn solid. Penalties conceded, 9. 9 penalties conceded. Ew, but that kind of comes from the amount of fouls that we commit because we play Get Stuck In. And I wonder next season if by turning Get Stuck In off, now that we've got a solid enough team to get away with that, we might well be able to not have that on, commit less fouls, therefore commit less, concede less penalties and less free kicks. And over the course of a year, that might actually result in more, less goals conceded and more opportunities for us. So that might be the big thing I change in the summer. Now that we'll hopefully have a strong enough squad to comfortably stay in the Premier League, I want to be a bit more finesse with us and not quite so brutal, because we are properly a nasty bunch. We're like the crazy gang at the moment. God, look at that. Average attendance is still the lowest. Oh, no, it's not. Bournemouth. Well, they're gone now. Attendance by capacity. Obviously, 100% sellouts in every single match. Still no news on our new stadium yet. The board are still hunting for a ground for it at the moment. So it could be many years before we actually get that new stadium. Still searching for an interesting name. Right, let's look at player stats. Despite having comfortably the most yellow cards in the league, Perrier with 11, Kim with 10, Guajardo with 10, Nyambe somehow got 15 yellow cards. And Alfredo... Oh, I love that they've got this programmed into the game, because this man is a walking red card machine no matter what team he plays for. It's actually insane. When you look at Rangers, 3 red cards there. The season before that, none? How is that allowed? Then none? Oh, we don't have the stats for it. What's his, 2 reds at Brighton that year? 3 reds. 2 reds. None. And then 3, good lord, this guy's like the Sergio Ramos of strikers. Incredible stuff there. Darren Lever obviously has 1 as well, which is a bit of a shame. Player of the Match awards. Yeah, no surprises to see this guy up there. None for us this season. Booty wasn't able to do what he did last year. Distance covered per 90 minutes. Fulham have a few players on there too. Now, Fulham, with them going down, Sam Taylor strikes me as the type of player that... Oh no, he's a right-sided player. God damn! I do want to have a look at some of the... relegated sides to see if we can pick up any genius players. So if I see any kind of regens that play for relegated teams, which was Fulham, was it Leeds that went down as well? Yeah, Fulham, Leeds and Bournemouth, then we'll definitely have a little look at them closer. Average ratings overall, unlikely to see any of them players in there. Headers 1. Sometimes you can see some players like that. Gao Perrier, right in there. That's what I like to see. Bournemouth had Alberto win a decent number of headers for him at left back. Hello! There you go. Right there. That's the kind of fullback I want for us. 6'1", fast as fuck, crossing and dribbling right where I want it, marking and tackling solid, 22-year-old Brazilian, playing for Bournemouth. These are the kind of players I want to sign. So right there is what I'm interested in, because he's a fullback that's won a lot of headers. So I'm just going to add him to the shortlist regens and scout him out. Because, I mean, we seem to know a little bit about him. But yeah, we'll do that. That's the kind of players I'm interested in, to be honest. Yes, so, and Casemiro Moraes, he's a 6'2" centre-back. He's pretty pacey too, but he's on way too much money. No, it's another Brazilian. So goals. No problems here. Yeah, Issa and Peppo, joint 10th best goal scorer in the Premier League. Like, I think wasn't Costa Troffin in that sort of range last season as well, so that's nice to see from him. Minutes per goal, any interesting candidates? I mean, Issa and Peppo, again, on the list, but he has played almost every single minute this year. I didn't see any crazy options on there. Most shots. Trincao comfortably has had the most shots. Stepanek, this is what I mean. He's had more shots than Issa and Peppo, and yet he has scored half the number of goals. We do need to see a bit more than that, eh? Shots on target. 70 shots on target. Really, really nice from that. Stepanek, again, 61 shots on target, has yielded only 7 goals. Only Rob Brain of Watford could compare in terms of bad finishing for that. But he's played less matches overall, so it's not ideal, to be fair. Shots on target percentage. This is always an interesting stat. Salome, 20-year-old striker. No, we don't need another striker right now. It's not really the sort of area I'm particularly concerned with. Conversion rate. This is always a nice one to see. No one on there for us, no surprises there. But is there anyone from any of the relegation sides? No. Team goals, not hugely surprising there. Assists-wise, anyone from any of the bottom sides? Again, it's Alfie Hughes, but he's yeah, I mean, he would just cost so much money. And he's a real player, and I don't know, not really that interested in him. Key passes. Okay. Remy Dubois. There you go. 6th highest key passes in the entire division. That's what I want to see from Remy Dubois. Regan Booty was on this list last year, but I don't think he was quite as high as that. And I think Dubois, I mean, he's getting like 7s and 8s in some games. So that is much, much more like it. None of the... Oh, hang on. No, it's Alfie McCalmont. He's an absolute menace, I've got to say. But again, he'd be even more expensive. And also, he plays in a position that we already have players in. So not really that important. Chances created. That's the one downside. He doesn't create as many chances, but he does love a key ball. A key ball? A key pass. Dennis Salome, again, interestingly for a striker to have that many chances created. What's his passing like? That's weird. Wonder why. Must be the type of system they play. Pass completion. Usually defensive players. Generally speaking. Sergio Vidal, though, he's a... no, he's more of a deeper playmaker kind of player. It's not really the sort of thing we're interested in. Cross completion? Anyone in here? Sorry, I'm using this more of a scouting mission these days because you can pick up some interesting players in these kind of positions, but nothing there particularly. There you go. 2nd highest dribbles per game in the league. He even out-bettered Ryan Kent this year. Marcio Gaspar is still like next level on that kind of stuff, but that's fine. Any interesting options for us in here from any of the relegation sides? Not really, no. Team conceded. God, he's only conceded 10 goals whilst in goal. Oh, yeah. Bloody hell. That is ridiculous, to be honest. Tackles per game. Tyrone Mings of Fulham. Yeah, not surprised by that at all. Nice to see that both of these two are right up there, though. So that is interesting. They've actually put in their... Like, they've done a job. Luati, 7 tackles per game. When you compare that to Kazakov, he's made more tackles per 90 minutes. So we can't really ignore that, to be honest. Any interesting ones there at all? Josh Tyman, I suppose. He's only 5'10", not 5 foot. That would be a bit little. Coney De Winter. That's a great surname. It's 5'6", it's just not in the wheelhouse for me. Like as much as their shorter ones have made more tackles, I kind of just want someone who's a bit... if they were just a little bit taller, they would be the perfect fullbacks for this team. But it's nice to see them doing so well. Kim, maybe he's done better than I thought he had. Notice how Nico Williams isn't on here at all. So that does definitely lead to the idea that perhaps he's not been as good as I thought he was. Mistakes leading to goals. It's nice to have no players on this one at all. That's what we want to avoid. Mistakes... no one on there at all either, which is really nice. Key tackles, this is what I mean. Ayman Luati, 31 key tackles, the highest in the entire division. And Yoon Dong-yong as well at 24. Nothing on here from Perrier, which is interesting. Josh Tyman again. Alberto from Bournemouth, once again on here. So he's definitely putting up some solid numbers. And I think if I was to spend a lot of money on this guy, I mean, for all we know, he has a relegation release clause too, which would be very nice. He's the kind of player that I'd be tempted to go after for that left-back spot. Because he's appearing on a lot of these charts. And this is how that's something that I would be potentially willing to drop 30 million on if we have that kind of money. And I don't know, actually, because I forgot to check. We haven't gone far enough forward for that. Key headers. Gael Perrier is right in there too, which is very nice. Anyone from the relegation setters? Okay, so we've got Casemiro Moraes of Leeds. He's that centre-back again, isn't he? Yeah. I mean, again, it's not really the amount of money he's on as well. It's just not something I would really look into at this current point in time. Interceptions. Gael Perrier, most interceptions made. That's where he does most of his work. He's just an absolute dynamo in there. As is Lofty Naziani, who is a right back, 6'4" right back, decent crossing, decent speed. Algerian. I think he's Algerian. Yes. 36 grand a week. He's another one of the ones I'd be tempted to go after, to be honest. I think we could probably do better than him, but what's kind of important for me is that he's shown that he... where is it? Is it anticipation? He's got some really nice mental stats here. Still only 22. He's fast. He's very tall. Heading is decent. Crossing's reasonably solid. Not amazing. His dribbling isn't great. He's got great tackling, though. I think he'd make an excellent fullback. Okay. Definitely something to work on there. Headers 1 ratio, 91%. Marcel Russo is an absolute god of a player. And again, Alberto up here too. This is, again, the sort of thing I'm on about. And Mezziani. Both of these two are fullbacks, and yet they're dominating in the headers 1 debate. But I guess that makes sense, because often fullbacks would be up against slightly less... They won't be up against taller players. Shots blocked as well. Perrier and Dong at 28 and 27 each. That's more like it, lads. Celso of Bournemouth. Another centre-back. 6'5". Oh my god. 18 heading as well. But look at that. He's on 110 grand a week. I'll add him to the list and scout him anyway. But I feel like this guy is just going to... I feel like he's going to go to a big side. Because look at the amount of money he's on. That's just not the sort of deal that we could be doing. Ernesta Rahman. Leeds United, he's only 6 foot tall. I just don't think that's tall enough for a centre back anymore. Yeah, okay, interesting there. Conceded again, clean sheets, fine, 20. To be fair, 11 clean sheets is actually pretty good for old Paul, and he's made the most saves held in the entire division at 170. Very, very nice indeed. He holds on to it more than other goalkeepers, which is a very nice sign. He's only saved 2 of the 9 penalties against us, though, so it's not the end of the world. But we'll hopefully take that off the table next year. So definitely playing Let's Get Stuck In and have a little look at those players from Bournemouth and Leeds to see if they're the types of players that we could potentially pick up to really bolster our abilities. Okay, fullback, this is going to be really interesting because they've each won one Man of the Match award and they've all played a minimum of 1,300 minutes. That's a lot of game time, so we can really take a proper look at this. So we've got Kazakov and Luetti on one side and then Kim Gui-hyun and Nico Williams on the other. I still think I want to improve and sign players in both of these positions anyway, but I want to see who's done the best and see if there's anyone that's actually stood out as doing a lot better than I thought they had. So that's kind of the dealio here. Kazakov has run more ground than Luetti, but only negligibly. Team conceded per 90 minutes. Important stat here. So Kazakov and Williams, we have conceded less goals, and we do concede a decent amount more with Luetti in the team. I think that just comes down to the fact that he's just not quite as good in the air, and we do concede goals when they're played to the back post, and he can't win those challenges. Kim, that seems to be less of an issue, even though I think they're both the same height, 5'10" and 5'10". So interesting. Has Kim got better jumping reach? Jumping reach of 7. And only 8 heading. I think Luetti's better than that. No, he's actually, I don't know, weird one that. Interceptions. And once again, you can see Kazakov and Williams far better on their interceptions as well. So we concede less goals with them both in the team, and they intercept a decent amount more, particularly Oleg Kazakov. He is really good on that side of things. But tackles won ratio, Nico Williams, highest of that one on 90%. Kazakov does win less tackles per game. In terms of his completion ratio. Luetti's on a reasonable level, but Williams right across that one. So Williams is definitely outperforming Kim in most areas so far. Luetti is getting beaten in some, but he does win more tackles, and particularly tackles per game. He's vastly out in front, more than double, or not double, sorry, but 2 more per game. Pass completion, Williams and Kazakov, again, only slightly out in front, though, not like a huge amount. In terms of key passes per 90 minutes, though, an interesting one. Kazakov, again, 0.65 to 0.45. It's negligible, but once again, he's winning the battle on that side of things, too. Headers won ratio, Williams at 67, Kazakov 66. Luetti's not that far below them, though, at 57. It's not noticeably poorer. I mean, it is, but not 20%. I would have expected more than that. That's actually surprising. And headers won per 90 minutes, you can see that Nico Williams, despite only winning 1% more, is actually winning a lot more headers per 90 minutes than Kazakov. He is taller, though, is he not, Williams? 6'2" to 6'1". That can't make that much of a difference. Maybe he's just got better jumping reach. Jumping reach of 14 rather, to Kazakov's 13. I don't know. He has only got 7 heading to Nico Williams' 9, so perhaps that's the reason. But then what it really does start to show is that Williams is a decent dribbler of the ball as well. So he's actually got some of the ground game, if you like, whereas Luetti has to be the dominant one on that side of things. From a cross completion element, again, 17% cross completion for Nico Williams. But Kazakov's really poor on that side of things, and that shows with his 9 crossing compared to Nico Williams' 14. It's undeniable that he's better in that area. But Luetti, yeah, it's only 11, and Kim is only 10. So it makes sense for Nico Williams to be up on 17. Again, he's weirdly, probably, you could argue, been our best defender out of all of this. Assists per 90 minutes, again, vastly better than his teammate in that exact same role, whereas Kazakov and Luetti are kind of much of a muchness. Chance creation per 90 minutes, interestingly, Kazakov is the highest. Weird that. He's just not quite got the assists that he deserves, perhaps? I don't know. He's not really crossing the ball. He's playing it a bit sooner, perhaps. So we score more goals. Interestingly, we score less goals with Nico Williams in the team, though. Interesting. That is an interesting one, actually. Shots on target percentage. It's not really that relevant here. Points per game. Kazakov is the highest, and Kim. God, I don't really know what to make of this. This is what I mean. It's all a bit of a mismatch, and that's why I just don't feel like any of them are completely perfect for the squad right now. Luetti does a lot of things well, but then Nico Williams does a lot of things well. I feel like Kim has kind of underperformed this season in some respects, but It's hard to say. I really do feel like that's our biggest weak point, is both left back and right back. And if we could sort both of those positions out with really strong contenders that could wipe the floor with all four of these guys, then I think we might well be onto something. And I do kind of wonder if Alberto from Bournemouth and Mezziani from Leeds might well be the two players that I could spend huge money on in the summer to try and bring them in, purely because they'll hopefully want to leave their clubs if they're relegated, which they are. So joining us might not be the worst thing in the world for them, to be honest. Because obviously I want to look for the youngsters too, but they'll have experienced the Premier League and have got stats to prove it. And that's kind of what I'm interested in. So not really sure what to make. I know that I want to sign players in these areas anyway. So as for who's come out on top, I really don't know. Let me know what you think about these guys. Like who's actually come out on top and who's the best. Because I think I'm going to try and sign replacements for both positions anyway. But now let's move on to centre-backs. So, centre-backs. We've got Yoon Dong-yong, Gael Perrier and Alan Drina. Those are really the only three that have actually played any considerable minutes in centre-back this season. Sam Hughes has played a couple of games, but not enough for me to really consider it. I really just want to see how Drina stacks up to Perrier and Dong. Now, we've got this high rating, but that's mainly come from a really good performance in a cup game, I think. Something along those lines. So we'll have a look at that anyway. So, distance covered, it's roughly the same as the others. We concede noticeably less goals, though, with Drina in the team. And it's 9 starts. It's not like it's just, like, random matches. Like, he's played 9 games from beginning to end, basically. And we've conceded less than a goal a game with him in the team. That is a noticeable drop. Interceptions as well. He's right up there with Gael Perrier, again. Tackles 1 ratio. He's right in the mix of them. He's not, like, lagging behind. In terms of tackles per game, he's actually winning more than both of them. Now, again, he has played in the Cup. Let's just see. So he's still got 6 Premier League starts, though. So it would have been boosted by the FA Cup result, sure. And the 2 in the Carabao Cup. They've been good performances. But he's still started 6 Premier League games and come off the bench in 1 as well. So there's enough in there for me think that we've got to take this seriously. He's not as good at passing as Yong, but he's right on the level of Perrier. His key passes per 90 minutes is through the roof in comparison, but that might well have been boosted by the fact that he got a couple in the Cup game, so fine. He is better in the air than both of them. Comfortably better in the air than both of them at the moment. Headers won per game at 7.36. Look at Dong, 3.33. He's winning more than double the number of headers per 90 minutes. That's an insane amount. He dribbles about the same as Perrier. He's even provided an assist. He's created some chances. We score more goals with him in the team. And we win more points with him in the team as well. Like, I feel like he's not quite ready to be the first choice at the moment, but next year there's going to be a hell of a battle on our hands between Yoon Dong-yong and Alan Drina, really, because I genuinely think that come pre-season, it may well be a battle between which one of those two is actually starting, because Drina just seems to have this determination to get into the squad. My assistant's been banging on at me all year about the impressive training performances, and you can just see this constant upward trajectory on his graphs, and he's returned that in the matches he's actually played. He is an absolute rock at the back, and I do wonder if by come the end of next season he is starting alongside Gael Perrier as our first choice centre-back, because I think Yong just doesn't have the height for that role, and he doesn't have the speed for it either. So we'll have to see how that one goes. But I feel like Alan Drina has a really, really bright future. And our Bosnian backline, that's a big... Like, these are huge numbers. Now, okay, he's not played as many games, and sure they would even out a little bit. But there's enough there to make me think that this guy's got a really, really bright future as a Notts County centre-back. And that's really pleasing. I do want to still stay on the lookout for some more, just to be sure. But I think I'm fairly confident that we've got enough in the backlog, plus him with 3 really competent centre-backs to make a real difference next year. But I'll obviously keep an eye out, and there's a few that I've got my eye on, real youngsters, just to back up, like 17-year-olds, just to sort of bring them through and stuff like that. So let's do we want to take a look at DM? I suppose we should compare Mijic and Hermansen, but only cursory. So here they are. We can sort of see that, I mean, of the two, Mijic has done better in terms of average rating, for sure. He started 6 games, Hermansen started 8 games, but Hermansen has started... How many of those games have been in the league? All of them have been in the league for him, whereas Mijic has started 6 games, okay, 1 of which was in the Cup, which would have been in the Spurs game. So it's still a pretty fair result. So team conceded. We concede more goals with Hermansen in the team, but he does make more interceptions. His tackles are way worse, but he does win more of them. His passing is worse, but his key passes are also worse. So Mijic is winning that. Not as good in the air, though. Better at the dribble. Creates more chances. We score less with him in the team, though, but we do win more points. It doesn't really matter, though, because Hermansen's leaving in the summer. Mijic will be the number 1 defensive midfielder next year, without a shadow of a doubt. I'm going to try and sign a young understudy to him, though, so we keep that pipeline still going, despite that probably not being our I feel like within a couple of seasons, once we can start to mix it with some of the bigger teams, we'll be playing the DM system less and less, mainly for just the big away games then, as we start to impose ourselves more and more. So I feel like the DM in our system will slowly be phased out. So it's not really a huge concern of mine, but I do still want to sign maybe a young understudy. Okay, so centre mids. I have included Scylla in here, but we've got to sort of take that with a pinch of salt because he's started 2 matches and only 7 off the bench. But if there's anything that really stands out, then we'll obviously have a little look at him as well. He's pretty healthy, really, our midfield. Regan Booty is obviously, so amazingly, despite, I mean, mainly playing in the cup. I mean, he's played 3 cup games. And to be fair, even in the league, he's done okay when he's played, to be honest. He just seems to do things. So we will keep an eye on Regan Booty to see if his numbers are still as good as I think they could be, potentially. So, where do we want to start? Ground covered, Scylla really does get about a lot. That would be fair to say. And the others are kind of relatively close on that one. Team conceded per 90 minutes. We actually concede the most with Ferguson in the team and the least with Sikic and Booty. I guess because Booty's got that defensive midfield acumen about him. He does intercept a lot of balls too. That is a lot of interceptions. And 93% tackles won is very, very nice indeed. At least the tackles won overall is still solid. Passing completion, Sikic, Scylla. Dubois is actually the lowest with Booty, but they're both relatively the same. Key passes per 90 minutes. Now, this is what I mean. Regan Booty just seems to put up insane numbers. No matter what you do with him, he puts up great numbers. But at least Remy Dubois is very nearly verging on Regan Booty numbers now. And I think he's only going to improve with time. Sikic just can't quite meet those sort of targets. And Ferguson, not even close, in fairness. But then it's because Ferguson is the only one. To be fair, all of these guys are deep line playmakers. Look, deep line playmaker, deep line playmaker. Scylla, deep line playmaker. David Ferguson, deep line play. All 5 of these guys, that's their preferred role. We really don't have a guy that is like, since Robbie Burton left anyway, a dedicated Metsala. And I wonder if that's a position that we could maybe look for in the summer, in all honesty. Headers 1. Scylla is decent in the air, but so is Dubois. And he does outperform Regan Booty. And that's actually quite important for me. That being said, number of headers 1 overall isn't too bad. He doesn't like to dribble as much as the others, but at least Ferguson has got that attribute to his game to sort of make up for it. Because Booty does like a bit of a dribble. Cross completion. Sikic, Dubois and Booty, nice. Wow, look at this. Regan Booty's assists per 90 minutes. It's very, very high compared to Dubois. He's got 3 assists this season. I'm not sure where they came. Were they all in the league? There's 2 in the league. Chance created per 90 minutes. I mean, it's a lot more. He just does things. Part of me is actually wondering if Regan Booty's time at Notts County is actually not up. And maybe he could be still a function for us because he's just got such good the stats are just so good. Team goals per 90 minutes, 2.35 goals per game with Regan Booty in the team. Now, again, it could be because of cup games. I don't know, but I've got to have a look at this. We've got to see where those games were. So, he played against Brighton, nothing really there. Grimsby Town, in fairness, was one of the matches where he got one of his assists. But, like, we can't see, annoyingly, because it gone back too far, which is frustrating as hell. But nevertheless, like, that's some pretty good return. I don't know. Maybe it's because it's a small sample size, but it's Regan Booty. We know what he can do. Points per game, like, it's good. It's really good. But the thing is, I feel like Dubois can get there, but I think Regan Booty has to stick around because he's such a good player, and I think he will continue to do a job for us next year. I really do want to continue pushing with Dubois because he is 7 years his junior, and Regan Booty, I don't know. I really just don't know. It's actually crazy how good his attributes are. And not even his attributes, his stats, the pure numbers he puts up are absolutely unreal for a player who, for all intents and purposes, you'd think would be worse than Dubois. Like, I've got to have a look at this. Compare him to René Dubois so we can just see where he excels. So, Regan Booty. His corners and crossing are higher, as is his dribbling. His free kicks are better as well, and his tackling is better, which really does help. He's a great leader, we know that. His concentration is actually better, as is his composure and his aggression. He lacks in all the physical side of things. But to be fair, like, first touch is better from Dubois, his heading is better. He's a much, much better passer of the ball. Like, I don't understand how Regan Booty can continue to put up the numbers that he's putting up, despite, I mean, what is it that's allowing him to do that? I don't really know. Composure and concentration? Surely not. It's a very strange one. They're both left-footed. It really does boggle the mind to me. To me, René Dubois is basically just Regan Booty with better physicals and some better mental attributes in some what I would consider to be key areas, like great work rate, his teamwork is better, he's more determined, he's braver. I don't know. I really just do not know. He's much better passer of the ball too. His tackling is worse. But a very strange conundrum. Let me know your thoughts on that one too, because Brigham Booty is obviously going nowhere. But I would like to maybe bring in a guy who's a Metsala, just to sort of improve that kind of thing. It's just impressive to see the kind of numbers he's put up. Maybe it's just because he's got that experience. I don't know. But he has done amazing things for us in this save. He's like a magical player. It's unexplainable how good he's been. Anyway, I'm going to stop ranting about that now. And we will move on to Shadow Strikers, I suppose, to mainly compare Griffiths to Soncha Hansen. Now, I fully realise that they've not played... I mean, they've actually played enough minutes for me to take this seriously. So, one thing's for sure. Ricky Griffiths covers way more ground than Soncha Hansen. Is his work rate better? 14 work rate to 11. So, I mean, that would indicate that. Hopefully, Hansen would have improved over the course of the season, but we will see. We concede more goals with Ricky Griffiths in the team, and he does make more interceptions. He's losing... Hansen wins the tackles battle, but their passing is relatively the same. Ricky Griffiths makes way more key passes per 90 minutes. His passing is 14 with 13 vision. 13 of 13. I feel like Hansen should be doing more than he is. It actually boggles my mind. He's better in the air at least, but he does dribble less, amazingly. With 15 dribbling to Ricky Griffiths' 15 dribbling. It's a strange one, isn't it? No assists. Absolutely no chances created per 90 minutes. We score more goals with Ricky Griffiths in the team. He scores more goals overall, but not by much in fairness. We do win more points with Hansen in the team, though. I don't know. I really don't know what's wrong with Soncha Hansen. It feels like to me he should be absolutely wonderful for that, for the role that he's playing. And I absolutely have no idea why he's lost a bit of bravery because of that injury. That's annoying. I don't understand why he's been as bad as he is. And it makes me wonder if perhaps it's not him, it's the role. And maybe the Shadow Striker just isn't working for us. And perhaps we should look to play a different type of player in that position. Maybe an attacking midfielder, maybe a Trek. I don't know. Maybe that's not the right role for this system. Because the Shadow Striker role has just not really generated enough quality for me this year. You'd expect the Shadow Striker to score a decent amount of goals. Like, not that we score that many in total, but I would have thought at least 5, perhaps? I don't know. Not pleased with that. Might change the role. Don't think we need to sign any new ones, because I can't think we're going to find a better player for that role than Soncha Hansen. So I feel like it's going to be down to the role more than anything else. Because when you look at Griffiths, he seems to be more adept for that. We're going to have to do another comparison between him and Griffiths. Because Griffiths seems to get more out of himself when he plays in that role. But the only areas that Griffiths excels in, he's slightly better at the acceleration, he's fitter, he's better leadership, which is irrelevant. He is more aggressive, fine. His long throws, this is irrelevant. Free kicks, irrelevant. Passing, slightly better. To me, there should be no reason. He's shorter as well. Only right-footed as well. It doesn't make any sense to me why Soncha Hansen would be worse than Ricky Griffiths. The only thing I can think of is that it's down to things like social groups. Like, is Hansen in the correct social group, or is he out on his own here? Where is he? Where is my man, Soncha Hansen? It feels like he's in the big group with everyone else here, really, doesn't it? Where is he? There's Soncha Hansen. So, he seems to be fine. Part of the core social group, good reputation, high ability. Like, feels as a positive partnership playing with Issa and Peppo. I don't know. I really don't know what it is that's sort of causing him to be a little bit awkward. Maybe it's just a poor season from him, but it's a strange time. Strange one. Right, let's look at wingers. Now, in fairness, one thing it could be is the fact that Griffiths has played 11 matches on the right side. So we've got to be careful with that. And that might be why he's got some areas that he's better than others, perhaps. Because that would then genuinely mean to me that this role here is just not up to scratch for us right now. So with that in mind, we're really just looking at the left-hand side. Guajardo, Sassano, and obviously Darren Lever. But he's played nearly 300 minutes. 4 starts, 1 substitute appearance. So, team conceded per 90 minutes. We concede the most with Darren Lever in the team. He has not done his best there, I've got to say. Sassano, we definitely look better when he's in the team from a defensive standpoint. But Lever's got a bit of an interception game about him, and he does love to win a tackle, interestingly. Passes are all about the same. Key passes, Lever at the bottom. Sassano again, out on top. Lever's won a decent amount of headers, but that probably means he's won 3 out of 4. So we can't really take that too seriously. Sassano, again, way better in the air than Guajardo, but it's good to see that Darren Lever has at least put up solid numbers of headers there. Dribbles per game. I mean, it's vastly better. This is the kind of numbers I want to see. His cross completion is only 11, whereas Guajardo's is 20, which is much better. Oh, God, I just wish he could... Maybe... I don't know. It's such a difficult situation here. Chances created per 90 minutes. Sassano is above everybody. Lever is the same as Guajardo, and Stepanek is right there. Team goals scored per 90 minutes. Like, Lever's way off of that one massively. Sassano and Guajardo, it's all a bit of a, bit of a stiff one, to be honest. Points per game. Sassano, pretty good, actually. I don't know. I really don't know what we're dealing with here. I feel like Darren Lever seems to have mad potential. And even as a winger, he has got mad potential. The problem is simply that he's very, very bad on his right foot. The only thing I can think of to do for training him is to firstly start training him as a winger, like that. But then also have him maybe work on the trait of developing his weak foot, perhaps. That's the only thing I can think of. I don't even know where that's under. Is that technique training? Develop his weak foot. Okay, so maybe, just maybe, if we can get Darren Lever to develop that weak foot slightly and really become basically a two-footed player, then maybe we could actually bring him to use on that left-hand side rather than changing the entire system around him. He's still 17, so there's a long way and a long time for him to get used to playing on his left foot. But I feel like that's really the most important thing, because I just don't think... I'd rather do that than try to retrain him on the right due to the sort of situation we're currently finding ourselves in. Plus, it'd be nice to have another homegrown player coming through. And remember, next year we'll also have Sean Lancaster as backup on that right-hand side, and I think he'll be good enough to play some games for us next season. And I'm prepared to give him the time to do so. He's done okay out on loan at Sheffield Wednesday this season, and he's done enough to be called up to the French Youth Invitational along with Darren Lever, so I feel like that says something. Brendan Mills as well, we've got to remember, he's going to come back from Charlton this year, so he'll be a potential force in our midfield as well. I think he'll get some Premier League game time, potentially. So, I feel like, unless I find some amazing player on that left-hand side, then I feel like Darren Lever could get some game time next year too, and I think he kind of needs to be honest, given that he's already 3-star potential. 3-star ability. That's just the way I'm looking at it. Right, let's go look at strikers, although it's really just about looking at Mpepo and Troffin. I mean, there isn't a great deal to say here, because Troffin has only played 500 minutes. Moyer's played some off the bench, but he does run a little bit more, and we do concede less with him in the team. He hasn't made any interceptions at all, and his tackles-1 ratio is vastly worse. 93 is very, very good. He does complete more passes, and he makes more key passes. He's not as good in the air, but about the same. He does dribble a tiny bit more, but not noticeably. Like, dribbling of 12 compared to Costello Troffin's dribbling of 13. That's about right. He does complete more crosses and has a better assist record. More creative, and we do score more with him in the team, and he scores more goals. His actual goals per game ratio is better. That's actually interesting, because it implies to me, like, goals per 90 minutes anyway, that Costello Troffin would probably have more like 16, 17 goals if he'd played that sort of a period. But he has hit the target way less, and way less shots on target per 90 minutes. But look at that. 1.69 goals per points per game when Costello Troffin plays for us. I think he's going to give Issa Mpepo a run for his money next year for starting striker. So I really want to base that around how they do in pre-season. Because Troffin's actually put up some solid numbers now. And maybe because of the patch. We've barely seen him on the new patch. And that might be why. So maybe he is destined to actually be a decent striker. He just needs a season where he can finally goddamn prove it. And maybe that could be next season. Because I'm prepared to give him plenty of game time next year, where him and Issa and Mpepo will probably share striker duty for us. So then we can have a real look at who's done best out of the bunch. That's all I really want to say about that. I think we've got Gonzalo Moya as well. I'm not going to go out and look for yet another striker. We've got 3 strikers that are capable at the moment. I don't think we're in a position where we want to be going flying, spending loads of money in those positions. I think my key positions are goalkeeper potentially, although I'm a little bit interested in Paul, given that 5-star potential thing they've now given him. Right back and left back, absolutely dead certain. Centre back maybe, although I think we're okay in that position. Honestly, it's really just right back and left back that I'm absolutely desperate to spend a ton of money to really bolster those ranks. And if I have to spend our entire transfer budget on just right back and left back, then I will actually happily do that if I feel like the rest of the squad can handle the situation, really, because I think that's our biggest weak point. And if we can plug that and change the tactics slightly to less get stuck in, I think next year we can drastically reduce the number of goals we concede and hopefully provide opportunities for players further up the pitch just by doing that. So that's how things are. Let's see. Word of the day. What have I got on my desk? Okay, there's a business card here for Specsavers in Cambridge, which Emma's left here. So that's the word of the day. Specsavers. Use it in a sentence, why don't you? So if you've enjoyed this, drop a like. That'd be amazing. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. As always, hold your gun. Capybara. I'll see you guys tomorrow for some transfer goodies. Hopefully I can make good on the right back and left back. I wouldn't expect us to sign both of those guys, but if we do, don't be too surprised. I'll see you guys soon. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.